This podcast is sponsored by nobody. Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I will be interviewing the man, the myth, the legend. My first Mighty Duck ever. I'll be talking to Les Averman himself, Matt Doherty. Oh yes, the wisecracking kid with the glasses in the Mighty Ducks movies. God, he was so funny and so great in those movies. I'll be talking to him today. He was also Heed in So I Married an Axe Murderer, celebrating its 30th anniversary. And he was also in Mo Money, Ghost World. He guest starred on Marin. And he's also a playwright. He had a play recently called Brothers Play. And we're going to talk about all that stuff today, and I can't wait. I reached out to him just shortly before Christmas, but sadly he couldn't do it at that time. And so we're going to make it happen now. He was cut from Home Alone, so that's why I wanted to do it at that time. I had gotten someone cut from A Christmas Story, so I was like, I should get him for Home Alone because he was cut from that. But it didn't happen, so here we are, end of April, and we're going to make it happen. Also, rest in peace, Uncle Ray Ray. He died so tragically on Sunday night going into Monday morning. We don't know the full details, nor would I disclose them, but it's so fucking sad when someone tragically dies, especially in your family. He was a funny character. He was a complicated guy, but he was such a character and so funny. The only uncle who ever went to my stand-up comedy shows. And he was in the hospital so much when I had my accident. Thank you so much, Uncle Ray Ray. So yeah, here is my interview with Matt Doherty. Hey Matt, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Hey Tommy, what's going on?
Nothing too much. This is such a great honor. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
You got it. So I'm out back, and there's a bunch of things going around, and my dog's got the bone. So if you hear some dog complaining, then that's just ambient sound.
Absolutely. So, going back in time, you were obviously a kid actor. What age did you start officially gravitating toward acting?
Oh my God, I was 9 years old. Yeah, I didn't know it, but I was 9 years old, and I didn't even realize what I was doing. I just,
Yeah.
Who knows anything when they're doing that? I just went downtown because it was a cattle call, which is an old-fashioned term for, you call a bunch of people who have no experience, right?
Right.
They throw them all in a room together. And it was a cattle call for a Gary Marshall movie called Overboard. And I looked it up in the paper, and I don't know why, who knows why one does anything at that age. And I told my parents, I was like, let's go to this thing. And we went to it, and we went to it, because my mom wanted to go to the mall. And then we never went to the mall, because we spent the whole day there, and I met Gary Marshall, the late great, Gary Marshall, and he said, "You're funny, kid, get moving." And then we looked up in the phone book, and called the first one alphabetical, and he just got lucky, man. It's just the industry kind of picked me at a very young age, and I didn't even know it,
Yeah.
Always been the life I've known.
Wow. So the Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn movie Overboard. Did you get to work with them?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't get the part, but
Oh.
Like Gary Marshall said, I was funny. I should get an agent. Who am I to argue with Gary Marshall?
Yeah, you don't argue with Gary Marshall's right. Wow, so that planted the seed. That is mind-blowing. So, you were born and raised in Chicago?
In the suburbs, yeah, in right on the Illinois-Indiana border. Yeah, a town called South Holland.
Nice. So, you then started doing, school plays and community theater and all of that?
Yeah, I lived a lot of my life backwards. If I were to write a memoir, that would be I started doing theater after I was, I kind of became like this kid movie star, and then, I just loved doing this stuff with the kids at school after, and my friends. And then when I studied it after I left the industry after I had, could have done anything I wanted. And then later on in life, when work fizzled out for many years, I drove the limousine that I once was in. I've worked in warehouses and that moved VHS and DVDs and stuff like that. That literally were movies that I was in. So I've lived my life a little out of order. So yeah, I found the theater after I was doing the movie stuff. And I think the only reason I started doing all of it, at least the auditions, was because I saw my brother do a play. And I saw him make everybody laugh, and I was like, we're brothers, so I can do that better. It probably was my main motivating factor. Oh, my brother's cool doing that. I want to be like my brother.
So, Home Alone was your first movie?
That was the first film I was in. It was one of the very first auditions I ever had. The second or third. I think the first was the Home Alone thing, and then I auditioned for the Mickey Mouse Club, and somehow almost got that. And then the third was Home Alone, and we all auditioned for the Kevin role, right? And then all those local Chicago actor kids were, I went all the way down to the line. They say I was up for a role, Kevin. There were a few of us in the room, and that was John Hughes Productions, just owns the north side of Chicago, and we got to go. We're from the south side, and the south side it's a different universe. You go up to the north side, and he shot. I remember the final callback was actually in where John Hughes had his production company, which was the old high school in Wilmette called New Trier. And he took it over, and that's where they did Breakfast Club, right? And that's where he had his production head. So we were actually having a callback in the Breakfast Club library. I was like, oh my God, here you are, And you could still see the library and all that stuff. And Chris Columbus said, who was the director, he was a great, great director. Really great with kids, right? And don't worry, everybody will be in the movie. This movie needs so many redheads. And he kept his word. He put us all in the movie. And I was in a tiny, tiny little part that was mostly cut out. And that's where I got my first lesson in Hollywood. You shoot something and then you bring all your friends. And we went to the local movie theater, and my mom and all her friends and my dad. And then I was totally cut out. Except for this tiny, tiny little thing where you get video in the background.
But it's amazing, though, how, John Hughes starts doing family comedies after years of teen movies, and then he makes the highest grossing comedy of all time after Ghostbusters. I mean, that is pretty amazing.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, yeah, he was the whole team they had there, man. They just really tapped into the time,
Yeah.
Into it. And there's just, what a classic. I mean, what an amazing. I've been involved with some iconic things, and when I sit back and reflect, I'm like, my God, I was on the set of that. I got to, I got to meet Catherine O'Hara for just a minute. She wouldn't know me, But and then you do the obvious things, and then so I married an axe splitter. You get to meet so many people that were iconic. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. So then you were in The Babe.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh gee. Yeah. They turned Chicago into a 1920s thing, and John Goodman, and I was a street kid. And I remember my eyes were. I used to get these really bad allergies. And then I'd rub them and make them worse. And this is when I didn't know I was allergic to, I think, aspirin or something. I was allergic to something, so my eyes swelled out like I did huge bee stings.
Yeah.
And it happened the day of the shoot. They got it down a little bit, and then they gave me, makeup. I was, had a black eye. Yeah, that was with John Goodman. Hey, buddy, come here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the big, and then Mo Money, which is, I think that was right after that. And that was, talk about not knowing, getting to meet Arthur. Like, not knowing that I was working with Arthur Hiller, the great Arthur Hiller, who,
He made
like,
Silver Streak, The Out-of-Towners, Love Story, The In-Laws, a lot of great comedies.
Yeah, a legendary, and he's the one who got, the Wayans brothers their start. It's just like, you don't know these things when you're doing them,
Yeah. And Mo Money, you got to be directed by Peter MacDonald, who directed Rambo 3. He's an Australian guy, right?
Yep. And Arthur Hiller was, I think he was involved with the producer or something like that. Or somehow he was involved in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember anything about Damon Wayans on that set?
I just remember that they were all really funny. And again, like, I'm a kid. I'm 10, 11 years old. I'm like, there's a camera. Somebody mentioned working with Richard Pryor, and then I swear, I get to say, I think I said screw you or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't remember much more than that. I just remember they were really funny and young. They were so young at the start of their careers,
Yeah, he was at the top of his game, at the time of Living Color.
Yep, exactly. And again, like, you don't know this. You don't know, like, oh my God, I'm working with people who defined, decades of work, and not only that, like, created a place where so many people got their start,
Mm-hmm. So, was the Mighty Ducks a standard audition for you?
A standard? You would put stuff on tape in Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
and then forget about it, and then, I did that, and I think I auditioned for Fulton originally, which was really funny. He was the bruiser, and but I was like, I'm like a tiny dude, and somehow I got a screen test in Minnesota, and I remember, I come from, not an entertainment family. We were trying to find somebody to go with me. And I remember my brother John, who worked at steel mills for many, many years, was like in between. When you work at steel mills, you get laid off often. He was like in between. And so he was able to like get on the plane with me, and he still talks about it. He's like, yeah, I was with you. I was like, I'm like the lecturer,
Yeah.
And so John and I went to Minnesota, and then in the room for the screen test, they gave me the role of Averman to try and read, and I went outside, looked at it, went back inside, and then somehow, again, like, hey, you're funny, you make kids, you make me laugh,
Yeah.
It felt like it was immediate that we got the call, and then, I'd never done a big project like that. I'd done commercials, and Bite and Smile stuff, and these, like, day rolls on, like, most Chicago actors, movies come into town, and, you get the, like, the day roll.
Right.
So I've never had an experience like that. And I think at that point, I had done the cover of the Chicago magazine, which was really ridiculous. And that was when they did, Chicago actors were like, it became a thing. Like, people were starting to look at Chicago. It's just all, like, luck and happenstance, Fred Savage had done the Wonder Years, and now it was all of a sudden everybody's got to go to Chicago to find the next talent.
Yeah.
John Kovac had come out, and Chicago, and John C. Reilly, and all these people were getting their, were coming up, right?
Right.
And we all had the same, we had the same couple agents, and so I think that helped a lot too. And I remember I actually got to hold an Oscar on the cover of Chicago magazine. It's like these kids in Chicago. We were all like commercial actors. Joe Sikora is one of us who's on Power and has had a great long enduring career as an adult. And
right.
He was in our little crew of child actors.
Yeah.
I looked up to Joe because he was a couple years older than us.
Were you already a hockey fan?
I was not. I was a Blackhawks fan, of course. But I never played except like ones. And then, so I lied like any good actor to get the job.
Yeah.
And then they knew we were lying, you know. And then Bill for the hockey camp, which to this day is still one of my favorite memories of anything doing.
Yeah, it's funny because this movie came out right at the beginning of the kids sports movie craze. There was around that same time Ladybugs with Rodney Dangerfield. Then there was Rookie of the Year, The Sandlot, Little Giants, Steel Big, Steel Little, all these like kids sports movies. And it's like no one makes them anymore.
No, and they're great. They're a great genre, man.
Yeah.
I think they'll come back.
Yeah.
I'd like to write one down the road, and I think, but I convince the Hollywood people that make money decisions that these things are missing, and we need to bring them back, and
Yeah.
back.
I mean, it kind of started with the Bad News Bears in the 70s, and then there was Here Comes the Tigers, which was kind of a B-movie version of the Bad News Bears.
And that's what these guys are all like. That's what Bill and, Steve and, Mark Maron and Peter Berg and Adam Sandler, and they were all like crashing in the same kind of apartment together,
Oh, yeah.
These are the things that they were probably looking up to, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're in a whirlwind. And then I know Ducks like that greenlit at a very rapid pace. Probably because somewhere up the chain of command in the food chain, some money person wanted to go, let's get into hockey. And so, and then we all got probably played by that.
Yeah. Yeah, it should...
We walk away with this iconic Chandler defining, trilogy that launched NHL careers for people. It's kind of crazy. I mean, it's nuts. Like, I do these things where I'll go and tap pucks and we do hockey because I love hockey and I prefer play and stuff. And, I'll meet professional hockey players and they're like, they're in their 20s now and they love this film.
Yeah.
Read in and they started playing hockey and they watched it. Nuts, man. Nuts. It's nuts that, people, I don't know how old you are, but it sounds like we're probably compatriots.
I'm going to be 40. I was 9 when the first Mighty Ducks came out.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the kids of our generation now, the parents now get the kids to watch these movies.
Yeah.
And they're bigger fans than their parents, which is really fascinating.
Absolutely, yeah. It should be noted Mark Maron was actually cut out of Mighty Ducks 2, which him and Brill finally let the cat out of the bag when they did their Resolution podcast years ago on WTF. Yeah, I thought that was crazy. Yeah.
Mark Maron got his SAG card. He was a valet.
Yeah.
On the day when we did the scene where we take over Beverly Hills, it was me and Sean and Ty and Keenan, I think, and Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
It was Brandon, me. Yeah, I can't remember. I know Ty was there. I know Sean. Yeah, I think it was Brandon. And then there was a scene where we're walking by some valet. I think it's still in the background where you can see him in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, he like Bill says, he scared the ducks.
That's so brilliant.
The story when you got me a day on a marriage show, which I love.
Yeah.
Kind of the story of the day of being on my Ducks too.
Yeah. Yeah. Keenan, he holds the record for the most years on Saturday Night Live, breaking Phil Hartman and Tim Meadows' records. Did you know then that he was going to be this great, comedy star?
Oh God, yeah, man. I mean, there's a certain crack of the bat that people have. It's the same thing like some of the OG or just work, real artists who are doing guest star, or who are playing supporting roles on Ducks 2 and 3 that were instrumental in helping me discover what my thing is, and you knew that Keenan had this gift, you just knew it. Sean and I, we get some funny people on that show. I like being funny and writing funny for other people. But Keenan just looks at you and you just can't help but want to crack up. And then we all would do improv together. You know, that's the thing. Like our studio teacher for all 3 movies, Lois Yarashevsky, who's a dear friend, who was in the 70s San Francisco hippie comedy scene, and, you know, would do improv, and Robin Williams would come around. And
oh, yeah.
he was steeped in the heyday of what, you know, I'm Dying Up Here is all about, right?
Oh, yeah.
And she, you know, was like, you know, was a student teacher to augment her acting career. And then we knew we all hated going to school, and would incentivize us going to school together by teaching us improv games. And that's, you know, so instrumental in my development as an artist, and I know it was for Keegan, and Sean, and, you know, all of us, really. Danny Tamborelli, you know?
Joshua Jackson.
Yeah. Josh is, it's just, no one knew, you know, but you knew. I think if I had to pick, I'd be like, yeah, I knew Keegan.
Yeah.
And, you know, everybody, hey, buddy, you know, drop it. He's in the prank call. Everybody knew that Mike's guitar was going to be he could have been a superstar actor, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody knew it, but he just wanted to be a baseball player, you know. Yeah, I love Mike.
And what's her name? Columbia Jacobson. She's like a chef now.
Yeah. You just think about all the lives that, you know. I think that's the thing that Jordan always talks about, like Kerner, about just how proud he is of all of, you know, these people. Like Aaron Lohr does some really great things, and he's a Broadway star, and now he's got letters after his name. You know, Danny just wrote a book. I mean, it's with his wife. You know, it's just the lives that have been just really changed by what we were able to do together in our tiny little group of, we were like a family, you know?
Yeah, they gave you so many great lines as Averman. You know, I love it when Emilio says, "You think losing's funny?" and you're like, "Well, not at first, but once you get the hang of it." No words are truer, Matt, because I'll tell you, when I was in high school, we lost every football game, and after a while, we thought it was funny.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that was. I think Steve was like, Averman was like kind of like him, you know, and so I got to do all the fun commentary lines, you know?
Yeah. You know, Iceland's bigger, stronger, more facial hair. You know?
Yep.
Got so many great lines. Which of the 3 movies
everybody thinks I'm Jewish. It's great. Like, I'll walk down in the Hispanic neighborhood in LA, and people will go, hello, are you member of the tribe? I'm like, no, I just play one on TV, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then now that my hair is long, and then I have a certain hat, I'm like, I guess I'm like, you know,
yeah,
I'm like Irish Jew.
Which out of the 3 was the most fun to make?
But I love the way you framed that. Probably the most fun. For different reasons. You could say every one of them had a different reason. I mean, 3 were just rebellious teenagers. 2, we were, you know, I get to meet so many of my heroes. I get to get my picture taken with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You know, it's like, we play hockey on a rink that ends up being an NHL rink. We were the first people to play there. I mean, the world's greatest rollerbladers are like doing these stunts where they're flipping over moving cars. Those, like, the size and scope of 2.
Yeah.
Well, there's something about here. That is really special. But I think just the purity of doing, not knowing what we were doing on Ducks One, I would go with that. You know, going back to us playing hockey in December of that year, hockey camp, learning from Jack White, and realizing, like, we didn't, just not knowing what we were doing, and then, like, making a real movie. You know, some of the kids, like, maybe had made movies before, but it was like, that was the first time I'd ever really been on a set, been away from home, and all of that.
Yeah, Yes, D3 had a very interesting premise because you're at a prep school and like School Tides had come out a few years before. This was pretty ahead of its time because academia wasn't quite a thing as it is now.
Oh yeah, I mean I think what they're trying to, I guess they're always trying to say a message about growing up with
Hmm.
every one of the films, and the lessons that we want to pass on, and and there's always a little undercurrent of representing and representation, and
Hmm.
I think that's what's really under that third film, and the life lessons. And I do know that there was talk of wanting to do more of a Brian song version of Duck Street,
Oh
and
yeah.
it got kicked. There is a script somewhere around where Duck Street was supposed to be Emilio, or like Gordon, being sick, and us having to basically like the sadness of like the sports tragedy comedy movie. That's what I remember originally. That was the original story for Duck Street, but they thought it might have been too dark.
Interesting, interesting. I
So
haven't.
I had a little tidbit. I just learned that.
Yeah. I haven't seen Game Changers yet, but I heard it's good. Did you have fun, getting on that show?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, it was the middle of COVID, so things you just get out of the house too,
Yeah.
and then to go hang out with like a high school reunion with the friends, and Marguerite had a kid with her and her husband, and like we couldn't leave our rooms for 14 days. This was the height of literally the height of the pandemic, and then just we had a lot of time. We never really didn't get a lot of time
Hmm.
because of the pandemic. We actually had time to be together, and it was really special.
Yeah.
Really special.
Yeah, that's awesome. How was making it so I married an axe murderer?
Oh my God! I mean, legendary comedic performers. From
Oh yeah.
Alan Arkin to Phil Hartman to Stephen Wright. These are all my heroes. I would pretend to be sick, stay home from school, and listen to the records.
Oh yeah.
Um, so it's and I got the job because Brill called Tommy Schlamme and was like, "This kid's good. He's nice. He's easy to work with." And that's how I got the gig. And spent hours in makeup chairs getting this hair and prosthetic on, and
Yeah.
and then watching and they were beta testing. I think the thing about Throwback and Expert was that they were beta testing the industrial light magic technologies.
Hmm.
That were being used for Jurassic Park and all that stuff, the split screen. There was a lot of brand new stuff to make Mike Myers on both sides of the screen, and
Yeah.
but none of us could do it because we had to repeat everything perfectly, but none of us could get to the take, especially Anthony LaPaglia and Brenda Fricker. My God, the two of them wouldn't stop laughing. It was like being in church and got the giggles,
Yeah.
and because Mike Myers was just killing us,
Yeah, Brenda Fricker had just done Home Alone 2 playing the pigeon lady.
Yep. And she had just, won the Academy, and that was I was like, wow, she won an Academy Award for, and that was where you could smoke on a set, she was a chain smoker. You see her in the Lapaga, I think that she smoked it at the back all the time.
Yeah.
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 I apologize about all the ambient noise, but I guess, it lends a little character.
Oh, one of my first interviews had like birds in the background just really, really loud, so this is nothing. um, yeah, I mean it's a very underrated comedy. Do you think because it was so
Oh,
dark for its time, that's why it didn't do well?
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, perhaps it was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
All I know is it had Amanda Plummer
Yeah.
and Nancy Travis. You talk about, oh, yeah, it's great. It's such a great experience.
Michael.
To be up in San Francisco for a month because of all the technology and only working 10 days. I mean, come on.
That's where I'm from, San Francisco.
Yeah. oh, you get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're paying me the beer, and I could just walk around, and yeah, it's great.
So you attended Northwestern University. What made you go to college and take a break from filmmaking?
As I mentioned with about Keenan, hearing the crack of the bat and realizing he loves to do improv and stuff, I got to see Jeffrey Nordman, who's a dear colleague and friend, who's actually debuted a play of mine. He was playing our coach Ryan, and him and David Selby and a few of the other actors. These are professional people who had gone to theater school and had great careers. Those that knew to like to have a creative life kind of spotted me and saw me reading I think I was reading like a Arthur Miller play book or something.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, okay, this kid's clearly a little different than the others. So, and I had this choice to go to school or go to Hollywood. And I remember these OG dudes were like, you should go to school, leave all this, go be an artist. And it probably saved my life, probably saved every aspect of my life, to my physical, actual life, to, creating a thing that really matters.
Yeah, otherwise you would have been another Dustin Diamond or Corey Feldman,
Yeah, man. I at that point I had doors opening all over, and I had appetites that were bigger, I had bigger than my stomach, and I don't think I would have survived.
You were the video store employee in Ghost World. That's another underrated.
Mm-hmm.
That's another underrated great movie. What was that experience like?
Yeah. It's Terry Zigoff, and we met, legendary people of, who were just kids at that point, and it was, obviously gone on to have incredible careers, and then I got to reconnect with my friend Brad Renfro, and Brad and I were good friends, and we actually stayed in this. We squatted in this thing. We'll cover up Bohemian squat pod pad for a little while. When we were all mildly recovering child actors, and we were both painting houses. And and then played in bands together and played gigs together. And but unfortunately, we had to pay the ultimate price. But that was a classic film. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a great movie. Thora Birch, she's such a great actress.
Oh yeah.
What made you get into playwriting?
Just what I do, and I always have. I've been a writer most of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I wanted to write plays and films and do things like my heroes do, like Woody Allen and Mel Brooks, and things that influenced them, and Billy Wilder, Harold Ramis.
Yeah.
And the ways that they're influenced by the arts of from anything from Beckett to Pinter to Piranello, all just always been it's just kind of been my identity, and
Right.
It always has been. I like writing for actors, for TV, film, and for the stage.
Yeah. Did you ever take a playwriting class, or did you just kind of learn how to do it by reading?
Mostly by reading, and then when I was in college, I was in the writing program in addition to the theater program, and then just kept writing.
Yeah. Recently, you had a play called Brothers Play. How did that go?
Oh, it's great. It was a world debut, and it was a really brave move for all of us in telling a story about men and the wounds that many men carry, and the things that not a lot of people talk about trauma, and especially sexual trauma for men and for straight men, and then to do that in a way that is palatable with comedy and making things irreverent, to add a level of should I be laughing at all this? And yes, you should be laughing at all this. I think there's a great Charlie Chaplin quote where we must laugh or we will have to cry,
Yeah.
And that's kind of always been my lane as an artist and as a satirist.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have anything upcoming you'd like to mention?
Geez, man. No, I can't. I'm always writing stuff.
Yeah.
There's things that we're trying to get off the ground as always, and there's a couple of plays that I'm working on, but I just want to encourage everybody to keep, doing this thing, and don't let anybody define, your success. The success is in the doing, and I think, I teach. One of the great passions that I love is to share, ways for writers to come to their voices, and they've done it in residence treatment facilities with amateurs, and they've done it with professional writers. And it's one of the great things I love to do.
I always ask this question. Do you get a satisfaction teaching that you don't get when you're actually acting?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you learn more. Like I lean into the things that are, I don't want to say my liabilities as a writer and as an artist, but like the things that I always need to work. I'll never have to worry about coming up with jokes. We had a reading of my play last night. Like,
yeah,
I can come up with hours. It's like Dave Chappelle says, I'm really good at this shit. Like, I can do that, and gags and characters and world. Like, I can do that right now for hours. But just to do the work of, I like to teach the things that I struggle with, because then I get to learn about them better, and I get to share how I struggle with it, and then we all are bonded in the fact that, like, hey, this stuff's hard, I don't think enough people, all of these guru types, they're all leaning in with, like, this is the recipe, you do this, and I'm like, fuck you. There's no powered by number. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, crazy. It's crazy.
Leave it at that. Fuck you.
Yeah. Matt, thank you so much for coming on today, and I hope you keep rocking it with those projects. And
yeah, back up to Tommy. I know it sounds like you cut from the same cloth, and you lead good questions, and you listen well, and you make this really, really easy, which is why I agreed to do it.
I appreciate that so much, Matt. Thank you so much. You have yourself a great day, and be safe out there.
Yeah, back at you. Keep writing, keep doing your thing, keep doing a deal, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks, man. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Well, there you have it. Matt Doherty. Ain't he a cool dude? Nice guy. So glad that we got to have this conversation today. Man, Averman, such a nice guy. Such a nice guy. Well, until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes.